Speaking of geniuses, let's talk about Eric Greitens in the state of Missouri. Almost certainly to be the next senator from that state, and that is a grim reality. He put out a new ad, which has actually been taken off of Facebook, Twitter, and others. Let's see if YouTube penalizes us for doing the news and just showing you something which is newsworthy. Let's take a listen to his new ad called Rhino Hunting.
Eric Greitens, Navy SEAL, and today we're going rhino hunting. The rhino feeds on corruption and is marked by the stripes of cowardice. Join the MAGA crew, get a rhino hunting permit. There's no bagging limit, no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country.
Oh, something vaguely sociopathic and evil about that gentleman, Krystal. So there's a lot to say. Number one, I thought you were going hunting. So why did you breach a door and clear it? As in, like, it's a military operation.
Going to some, like, suburban house.
I have some questions about what exactly the symbolism of that is supposed to mean. Also, why do you just bust into the house? They didn't actually kill any rhinos, so it wasn't even a successful hunt. Now, beyond the symbolism and the idiocy of it, there's a lot to say, which is that I think Eric knows exactly what he's doing. He obviously has been credibly accused of assault by his wife and of his own children. He is clearly a psychopath, alleged psychopath, lawyers. If you look at how he behaved in his affair with that hairdresser, taking like weird photos of her in his basement and threatening blackmail. This is why he was forced to resign as governor in the first place.
Oh, and corruption scandals. Don't forget about that.
Don't forget. I forget exactly what he did, but he used his campaign. Anyway, he violated
he used a charity donor list for campaign fundraising, and there were other ethics issues.
Which violates campaign finance law directly. Yeah. That's ultimately what then Attorney General Josh Hawley got him basically dead to rights on, forced him to resign. So he has now rehabilitated his career by going all in on Stop the Steal. He's a favorite of Steve Bannon, of many of the MAGA right. Goes in Arizona talking about the Arizona audits and all this stuff. They love Eric Greitens, and he has very successfully positioned himself in this race as the genuine MAGA warrior. I think that this ad, not the ad itself, but the fact that, look, frankly, you and I are talking about it. Everybody in the media is like, this is disgusting, an escalation of rhetoric, which it certainly is. But as we saw with Trump, the more you get hated by the media, the better that is for you in a Republican primary.
Yeah, and this is what happens when your entire political movement boils down to triggering the libs.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works.
What you get.
Yeah,
I mean, the more that liberal media is, outraged and rending their garments and tearing their hair, which I understand. The ad is disturbing and weird and bizarre. I mean, and just like cringeworthy also. So I'm definitely on team. This ad is terrible, but yeah, when your whole politics is like triggering the libs is the way to get ahead, this will probably be successful.
No, I think it certainly will. And you also look at the polling. Let's throw this on the screen, which is that Eric is doing pretty well here in the primary in terms of where things stand. He's got 24% right now. Schmidt is at 21%. Hartzler is at 18%. Now, Trump has not yet come in, but I think it's very noteworthy that the last three polls out of this primary all have Eric Greitens up on an average of 3.5. But he was up, by 9 points just a month ago, up 6 points in the Hill's latest Emerson poll. That just shows you that he is, I wouldn't say he's a lock, but I think he's pretty damn close. I also do want to say this because I think it matters. Let's throw this on the screen. Eric is not even technically a Navy SEAL. The Navy SEALs did not let him back in after he resigned in disgrace. And in fact, the Navy would not let him back into active duty service at all. It's not even really clear whether Eric Greitens is still even in the Navy. I do wonder what the Navy SEAL and the special operations community think of him. Even whenever he was running, there was some grumbling that he was portraying himself as like some big badass who had been on a bunch of missions and tours, and really wasn't the case at all, even though he branded himself as such. I guess he wouldn't be the first guy in the SEAL, SEAL teams or whatever in order to do that. But from what I hear, the people who are legit and did like 12 tours and all that, they think he's completely full of it. But at the end of the day, Krystal, things are working out pretty well for Mr. Eric, and Trump himself has taken notice. Put this on the screen. We brought this back to you a few months ago, which is that Trump is really leading towards endorsing Eric Greitens, just as he endorsed Doug Mastriano, specifically because Eric talks about how he would be Mitch McConnell's nightmare. He specifically said, no more rhinos. I'm not voting for Mitch McConnell. And he continues these ads. He continues the Stop the Steal campaign and more. He's endeared himself dramatically to Trump. He actually met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. I think that if Eric is leading going into the primary, which all indications currently say that he is, I think that Trump is going to endorse him, and then I think he's going to be the next senator from that state.
It seems likely. That last article, they say Trump remarked that Greitens was performing well, most important quality for him, and told the former governor he had an open mind about who he may support. Yep. According to a person familiar with the discussion, Greitens was later invited to attend an event held by the pro-Trump super PAC the next day on the grounds of Mar-a-Lago. So, yeah, I mean, this is a person who just a few years ago was in complete disgrace after this scandal broke about how he had her blindfolded and tied up, took some blackmail naked picture of this woman he was having an affair with. Something that, by the way, not only has that woman said, but his ex-wife has also confirmed.
Right.
And then the latest allegations that came out of court proceedings, this wasn't like some liberal media invented. This came directly from his ex-wife in court proceedings over custody of their children, revealed allegations of physical abuse against both her and the children. And he had been leading in the polls. That caused him to fall behind into second and third place, depending on the poll. And now, he's risen back up. And listen, Missouri is a conservative state at this point. Very likely that whoever the Republican nominee is, especially in this year, ends up being the senator from this state. But if there was anyone the Democrats could beat, it would be Eric Greitens. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were putting up the weakest candidate that you possibly could. And we've seen in other instances, I mean, Todd Akin in Missouri, where this does end up, voters take a look and say, you know what, I want nothing to do with that. Or what's his face? Why do I always forget his name? Roy Moore.
Yeah, Roy Moore.
Same deal, an even redder state where Democrats are able to take advantage of someone who has significant, unacceptable scandals. Democrats have, I think, a strong candidate in Lucas Kunce, but he also is facing a very difficult primary against some wealthy heiress lady. It's sort of establishment aligned. So we'll see what ultimately happens here, but it's I think it is a very revealing statement on what plays in the Republican Party now, what motivates the base, and what it looks like when your whole project just collapses down to what you're in opposition to. The more that the media
100%.
hates you, the better it is for you. And it doesn't matter if there's a legitimate reason for them to be criticizing you. It doesn't matter whatsoever.
We're not going to pretend and say oh, this ad is so bad, people will come to their senses. I'm no, the more that the media talk, frankly, the more that even we talk about it and say it's irresponsible or whatever, the Washington Post is this is horrific. The more that the tech companies take it off, the better it's going to be for Mr. Eric down there. But it's still noteworthy just from an analytical point of view. I'm this is where politics are trending, people. So buckle up.
Buckle up. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.